Hello. Yep, it is already time. It is time for the live stream. Oh god. Alright. Let's see, did I switch the sound device? Yep. Seems I did. I just play the music and do everything else that I do at the start of a stream. Where is it? Where is my music? God, I am tired today. Well, this is the holidays, so Easter. So that can kind of explain. Is the music on? The music is on. Alright. Alright. Yep, that seems to work. Now I just need to post the links to this live stream in a couple of places. And then we can actually begin. We have some plans for today. So, yep. Let's see. Here it is, one place. It was our 13th live stream tonight. I guess it's not much of a milestone because it's not a round number, but at the same time it is 13 weeks of doing this. So that's definitely way more than I have ever lasted while doing YouTube. Right, de facto I've posted to every place that I post that I'm live streaming. I can post to 2 more places. Alright. So, the plan for tonight is as follows. We always have 2 hours, as always, said the person that had their last 2 live stream be shorter. But tonight we're going for the full 2 hours. And, well, The plan is fairly simple. For 1 hour, as usual, we're doing Midnight Call, or at least until I finish this page, which is page 6, and then at least line art wise. And then after that, there will be a second thing, because tomorrow in the morning I had this idea for a little funny fantasy creature slash monster. More creature, but like it can be a monster as in an enemy for a tabletop RPG. So, yep. We're gonna be doing that as the second thing. And there will be a new music track somewhere in the playlist. So I'll say when that thing is in. Or when that thing is playing. So, yep. Ow. Let's get to work. Sad Calvin noises. Eve is not interested in talking about God with him. Yep. Do keep your ears out for that. Also, hello, Jay. Alright, so there's also a thing that I was supposed to talk about today because someone asked me in private to talk about it on stream. So that thing is if I have some general tips for doing a manga slash comic book series, and of course take all of those tips with a grain of salt, because well, I'm not exactly a well-known or published author, so, you know, my words might as well be just the words of any rando on the internet. So, yeah, that's why I said take those words with a grain of salt. So I don't have any tips actually written down right now, so I'll just be probably going with the flow, and essentially trying to recount my experiences so far with doing comics, which is not only Midnight Call, and well, yeah. So what would be my most like basic tip, like something that essentially anyone can do, and honestly, plan small. Like, if this is your first comic that you're doing right now, or you're just, you know, you have an idea for a story, then if this is your first project or like one of your first projects, or you're not super comfortable with your art, don't be like me. Like, I have been working on this manga slash comic book for the past 3 years almost? If not, yeah, 2 to 3 years. I think 2. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I've been working on it for a couple years, and it's exhausting. Like, having to draw the same characters constantly, repeatedly, gets very tiring very quickly. And if you're not comfortable with the way you draw, with like your skill set and stuff like that, you're going to burn yourself out. Like I did at the very beginning. Like, the very reason why the first chapter took literally almost a year to complete was because, well, firstly, half of that year was taken by me doing the first 6 pages, because the like 6 to 7, okay, actually there were more pages, but the pages that I did full color, those took a lot more time than pages that I did in black and white, and also they looked a lot worse than pages that I did in black and white. So, in essence, just don't plan out like something that will take you, well, probably most of your life to complete. Like, let's be honest, with my current pace, it's going to take me the rest of my life. While also wanting to work on other things in the background, because that's the second thing. Honestly, you can draw other things or do other things while also making a comic, but it's exceedingly difficult. So, first tip is, plan small, and the second tip is just be mindful of the fact that doing a comic, if you're doing something detailed and complicated, like I am, like I'm not talking about, like a little silly web series with basically a non-existent plot, like an episodic format of X happens and the characters do Y, or just the characters do X. Like that thing, while it generates engagement on social media and is its own like impressive work in it is impressive work in its own right, don't get me wrong. Well, that's not the type of work that I'm talking about, because it's inherently easier than doing a pre-planned, well, long-form story that has to have not only good writing to, captivate your readers, but also good art and everything in between. So, yeah, that's another thing. What would be some other tips I would have? I think another tip I would have is try to remain consistent. Because when readers tune into a comic, they tune in not only for the characters, but also for the art style, and sometimes more so for the art style than the characters. Hello to my currents. So changing completely, like 180ing the art style, is a bit of a detriment to the success of your comic. And that's something I'm guilty of. It was necessary, but that's something I'm guilty of. And also, yeah, it is what it is. Just your art style will change as you improve, but there are core aspects of the way that you draw that should remain consistent. across a book. For example, the way you draw faces, or something with your way of drawing expression. Essentially, what should remain consistent is the way that you draw characters, or the important thing for that story, so that the readers can, when they take a look back and start reading the first chapters and then go to future chapters, so that they can still understand, so that they can still like see, oh right, this is that same character that exists later on in the story. And this is something that, this is part of why, for example, in many comic book stories or manga series or TV series or anything else, why costumes and character clothes remain the same. And it's only partially because having one design that's more recognizable is, in general, better for performance. So yeah, going back to the consistency. Consistency is important when making a comic. That's a thing. So since I already started that subject, let's go to the characters. So writing characters for a comic is very similar, at least in my experience, to writing characters for TV series. And I'm saying that only partially because the most of writing experience that I have used to, well, improve my writing skill is related to writing screenplays and stories for television, but also because I've worked on movie sets, so that's closer to what I'm experienced in. Of course, not that as any sort of producer. I worked as a movie extra or like a second, third stage actor, like essentially just the guy that walks onto a stage to say one line and then leaves. But I paid very close attention to what work on a movie set looks like. So I know a little bit. Like, I'm saying all that because I don't want to have anyone feel like I've lied to them, that, oh, you said you worked on a movie set, so you must have been like a screenplay writer or a director or anything like that. And no. I did try to get into film school, but, well, I tried to get into visual effects and animation, and I got rejected, so, oh well. To be fair, I would probably not be doing what I'm doing right now if I went to animation-based film school. Yep. Can I somehow hide the amount of... No. I can do this, and... Can I only see the chat on my OBS? So I don't want to see the cursed YouTube stats, because they make me really anxious. Yeah, whatever. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, live streams. No live streams. Comic book tips. So yeah, where was I going with this thing about writing? Oh yeah, that writing comic books is similar to writing TV series plots and characters. So what I mean by that is that when you're writing a character for a comic book, well, you have two approaches that you can take. You can either make them a static character or a dynamic character. Of course, as I said, I'm not a professional, I just write webcomics, so take this with a grain of salt. There are probably a bunch of professionals on YouTube or anywhere else that would hear me and say, no, you're wrong. And, well, they're probably right. But it's the way that I just write, and it's the way that I have found that works for me. Which might not be saying much, since I don't have exactly much of a following. But well, I was asked for tips, so I am trying to give tips. So when you're writing characters, and they are either dynamic or static, what do I mean by that? Well, when you're writing characters, the main draw of them is, well, their personality. Because you don't have actors, you don't have like famous names, for example, you can attach to a character. So you actually kind of do have that. Because, well, maybe not every one of you knew that, but the series like, for example, Sherlock Holmes, or essentially anything from before the dawn of the 21st century, like the dawn of the 20th century, you can just take that and make your own version of it. Like, there is no copyright for that. You can't make, like, specifically, for example, the HBO's version of Sherlock Holmes, but you can take the story of Sherlock Holmes, take the character of Sherlock Holmes, and make a story of your own with that character. Which can be useful if you're learning how to write a story. Because, well, that's already a pre-written character. You have plenty of material to study how people portray that character, and now what you're only left with is making an engaging and interesting story. So that's a little pro tip. But it's kind of similar to fanfiction that way, but you can actually earn money on it. But that's one thing. So when you have... so that was the side tangent for that point. So going back to the main point of writing dynamic or static characters, what I would describe as a static character is a character which does not change throughout the story. More often than not, you'd see that in supporting characters, where, for example, you have a character that embodies one trait. Let's say we have a character that embodies being, I don't know, shy or courageous or anything like that. They are characters that don't actually change throughout the story. Like, they might change their worldviews, but they are still that same archetype at the end of the story. So this is essentially a static character, and, well, they are most useful, at least in my opinion, when you're doing supporting characters. Because while you can have your supporting characters be also dynamic characters, well, you don't want to spend writing energy that is always limited on something that the readers might not exactly pay too much attention to. Or rather... Alright, that was a wrong way of portraying that. Not something that the readers will not pay attention to, because there might be readers that pay more attention to side characters than the main character, but what I meant to say is you don't want to sacrifice the quality of the main character and the plot for the sake of side characters. Unless the side characters are the main draw. Which is something that I could actually give an example to with Overlord. So, Overlord is a manga, not a manga, a light novel and anime series that, well, its specific type of storytelling is very interesting because its stories mostly rely about showing how other characters react to a very overpowered protagonist that in of himself is fairly flat. Like, he starts the story as a kind of, not idiot, but not exactly a smart guy. Like, he's very analytical, but he's not exactly smart, I'd say. The story is fairly nuanced, and like, it's difficult for me to describe the main protagonist because he always plays an act. Like, he always either plays the act of, well, being the Overlord, or an act of being some other character. So it's difficult for me to kind of describe what he actually is like. But what that story really likes to do and pulls off really well, like, I really applaud it for doing it so well, is showing a overpowered protagonist by having us engage and, well, really get to like and understand the side characters. Like, we see the main protagonist through the lens of the side characters. So there the side characters are really dynamic. Like, they may start out as static or embody only single traits. They are always in some way, shape or form changed by their encounters with the main character, because that's the main draw of the story. But unless you're doing that, like unless you're doing that specific type of storytelling, then you'd probably want to focus more of your like limited energy on the main character. Or the main characters. So that's why you having static characters is in general useful. It's definitely useful for one-off characters. Like, for example, having a deep psychological understanding of why a random goon decided to try to shoot the protagonist is not really needed. They are very much a even non-character. Like, they just exist to attempt to shoot someone and then get shot. So yeah, that's on static characters. And then you have dynamic characters. And dynamic characters are, in my opinion, what every serialized media character should be. So, in this sense, a dynamic character, let's take for example, fuck it, I'll use my own example. We have the character of, what can I use that's not exactly released or that is so far off that I won't spoil anything? Yeah, that's also a difficulty of working with having unreleased content and stories. What could I use as an example? Alright, let's use something not mine. Let's use... fuck it, Captain Titus from Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 1 and 2. So, spoilers for those games, I guess. You have the character of Captain Titus, which is fairly simple. Like, he is a Space Marine. He's a soldier. He had the rank of captain, which is pretty freaking high. And then later on in the story gets demoted to the rank of lieutenant. So his character starts out the games by being fairly static. But what changes is he loses trust in his comrades because of a certain betrayal, and then starts seeing his past as not really a liability, more of a shame. Like, he's ashamed of his past. At least I think that's what they were going with, but yeah, let's go with that. And later on, during the story of Space Marine 2, he re-earns, like, he re-earns, but he starts trusting his comrades again, because without that, well, they would fail. So what you have here is essentially a not too dynamic, but still a dynamic character that changes in relation to the story, while making decisions that also modify the story itself, like affect it, and other characters around them. So that's essentially what I mean with dynamic characters. Like, a dynamic character will always have more agency and feel like they are more important in the story than a static character. Because it's easier for a reader to get attached to a dynamic character that grows than to a, well, say, poorly executed static character. Like, a well-executed static character, I mean, alright, that goes, honestly, for anything. Well-executed characters will always stick more with readers or viewers or whatever than poorly executed characters. Like, that's just like that it is what it is. Like, if you want people to engage with your characters and your stories, you better craft them well. But you can just have someone sold on your idea or your story just by the mere fact of them existing. So, hello Permido. So yeah, that's my take on characters. Essentially, it's not much of a tip, just more of an explanation of what I consider dynamic and static characters. So how do I reform that into a tip? So what did we have so far? Tip number 1, which is plan ahead and think small, at least at first. Tip number 2, which was be aware of the commitment of making a comic. Tip number 3, which was... I think we're on tip number 3. Because I went on a side tangent regarding my opinion that writing comic books is fairly similar to writing TV scripts. And then we went into characters, which is the actual tip. I think that's where we are. Well, in this case, the tip number 3 would be... when you're writing characters, decide whether they're going to be a dynamic or a static character, and make that really apparent. Like, if you have a static character, have it be really obvious that they are a static character. Like, have them be completely 100% sold on their convictions. Have them even be exaggerated, like stylistically, stylized exaggerated, but still exaggerated. And if you're going to have a dynamic character, then have their choices and the changes in their character affect not only the story, but the world and the characters in it. So, because that's more engaging, because we like seeing those kind of stories as humans. So yeah, those are... Oh, hello Metri. Yeah, the holidays can be a thing. So yeah, those are my like 3 tips for writing comics and honestly stories in general. If I could say anything more, then there's one 4th tip that I could give for writing comics, and especially like new comic book authors. And it's... I know someone will get mad at me for saying that, though probably like I'm too small of a channel to start drama with. And what I want to say is accept mediocrity. Like, you can make every single page an art piece. You can work on a single comic book for literal years. Multiple years. But are you sure you want to do that? Like, I'm committed to what I'm doing right now, to my style of existence, to working on this manga for the probably foreseeable 20, if not more, years of my life. Like, I have made my peace with knowing that this is what it will take to tell this story. And you just have to be at peace with yourself and just understand yourself whether you're willing to make such a commitment or not. And accepting mediocrity essentially means that not every page is going to be perfect. If you're going to constantly go back and redo pages, fix things, then you're not going to make this story. You're just going to be redoing the same page day after day, getting more and more angry at yourself that you're not getting any progress. And that's not because you're not putting in the hours, that's because you're constantly striving for perfection, when people were statistically speaking stay like for only seconds, if not fractions of a second on a single panel. So it's really not that big of a deal if the panel's imperfect. Comics, while they can be, are not a medium for perfection. Especially if you're working alone. Like, on my other comic, I am happy to be able to work with someone else to assist me. So that, well, for one, the story is better, but also the like quality we can achieve is higher than any of us separated. That might not exactly be 100% the case. I'm the one benefiting more from the quality upgrade. He's the one, like Krampus, I mean, is the one benefiting more from the speed upgrade. So it's still upgrades for both of us. Alright. That's that panel done. Now that's a panel. Let's get those. So yeah, honestly, I'm not sure I have any more tips that I could give right now. Like, I don't want to just be coming up with pointless tips that honestly are just... Like, there are some general rules you could have for making comics, but at the same time it all depends on what you really want to do. Like, a manga is different from, like, for example, visual novels, right? Or even Western comics, or TV series. Each one of those mediums has its own sets of rules and how to make them. But at the very core, they're all visual stories. So if there's one thing that I could say that's universal to all of those mediums, is don't just use words. If someone wanted to only read words, to have the characters describe to them what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're feeling, everything, then they can just pick up a book. You're in a visual medium. Use it to your advantage. That's like the most universal thing I could say. Well, now I've run out of subjects to talk about. Ain't that fun? So the thing that we'll be drawing later today will be a fairly large, funny little creature. Don't have a name for it, so well, I will be drawing it. I mean, I do have one name for it, the Forest or Jungle Tyrant, but that's Well, that's a fairly generic fantasy name for a creature now, isn't it? So if there will be any good suggestions for a name that's different, then I might take them. But the creature is essentially take the body plan of a Tyrannosaurus, give it wings, make the arms slightly larger so that it can actually use them for anything, and then give it the ability to produce arcs of electricity from its mouth, and even like perform like a sort of breath weapon attack that produces a single bolt of lightning. Like that's the idea for a creature, like in general shape terms and things like that. So I think that might be pretty fun to draw. Kinda something like close to a wyvern, but while not trying to look too much like a wyvern. And we'll get to drawing that hopefully pretty soon. So, how has been everyone's weekend or slash holidays going? I hope pretty good. Or at least livable. Mine has been relatively okay. I've been completely consumed by doing 3D modeling. So I didn't exactly do much when it comes to drawing this manga, that's why we're still stuck on page 6. But hopefully now that I'm almost done with what I was working on this past couple days, I'll be able to focus more on drawing. So hopefully I'll meet my personally assorted quota of finishing pages 6, 7, and hopefully 8, if I manage to pull that off, by the end of this month. Which is still 10 days to make 3 pages, so that should be possible to do. I'll just have to commit and not get distracted, which is easier said than done. Calvin's muzzle is more circular. Eyes. Eyes are a thing. I've hit my microphone. Let's see. It's a concerned expression here. Not concerned, but like contemplative, which is more or less what concerned looks like at the same time. Mitri, by the way, if you're still watching, I'm just reminding you that I still haven't gotten a definite answer as to what you want to have me draw as your reward for winning the contest. So, yeah, reach out to me about that. And he's looking back at Eve right now, I think? Yeah, let's go with that. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit, oh, fuck. Hello, welcome to Wrong Layer Town. Residents, me. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, that's a way to give yourself a heart attack. Could have been worse. Hello, Felix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've spoken about that on one of my live streams already, Jay. That, yeah, I have a very bad tendency of drawing on the wrong layer. Literally can't say, yeah, just don't be like me, don't do that. Easy tip for you right there. I should probably do some studies on how, the eyes themselves are drawn in Oshinoko and Attack on Titan, also known as Shingeki no Kyojin, I think. I think that was the proper name. Yeah, that looks okay. Alrighty. Alright, that's that. I can add some more shadow here. Alright. I need a short break. 5 minutes or slightly more. I will be back. I am back. Hello again. Alright, gotta grind, gotta finish this page, and gotta move on to the other thing. Wrong layer! Jesus. Alright, this seems to be working. Yeah, jolly old me. The ears. Fun thing about drawing the ears, despite my lack of knowledge on how to actually draw good-looking ears, as you can see quite apparently on this, on the attached picture below, knowing what their structure is helps a lot when drawing ears. So, especially 3D ears, because human ears are a completely different cup of tea, and I suck at human ears. So, yep. But when it comes to animal ears, it's very useful to draw like a sketch of the base of the ear, so that you can actually properly draw them in 3 dimensions, or at least imagine how to do that. Just a very useful thing, all around. hey, if you're enjoying these live streams that I've been putting out for the past past weeks, remember to like and subscribe. Apparently, I'm supposed to say that every now and then. Feels odd doing that, but at the same time, it's kind of like self-advertising. Of course, the moment I say that, YouTube Analytics tells me that my concurrent stream viewers have dropped to 0. Thanks, YouTube. Really boosting my self-confidence here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with their systems, but what they're showing me is that people are constantly dropping in and dropping out of watching, which is... that must not be what is happening, because the average watch time does not support this idea. So I don't know. YouTube just being YouTube, I guess. Okay. Almost done with this one. So I've heard recently that YouTube has started doing monetized ads on live streams and videos on channels that are not monetized. Have any of you seen any ads while watching my live streams? Just out of curiosity. The answer to that should be no, but I'm curious if there's anyone that has seen any ads. Because if yes, then where's my cut? Where's the money? Alright, let's finish this muzzle. Alright. Yeah, I just need to thicken out the outline and that's another page done. Another panel. Next one will be quite funky. If I remember correctly, it's Eve trying to hug Calvin and him not exactly being too happy about it because of what she says to him as she's hugging him. Sometimes Calvin is just as dense as a brick. That will not be one of those cases, but sometimes he just is. If I'll have the time next week, I'll try to finish up the print version of the first issue of Midnight Call, because I had some corrections to do that and I just didn't do them because I didn't have the time. Now I do have the time, so I'll try to get those corrections done, and afterwards maybe print out some issues. And once I have the physical version, I will send out, as I announced on the Patreon post way back when, I will send out a single copy to each one of my paid patrons. So if you want a free copy of the first, if you want a copy of the first Midnight Call issue before it is available to buy anywhere, then, just gotta sign up for any of the Patreon tiers that are paid. And they start at a low price of, I believe, like $2, $5 per month, something like that. Really not much. And any little bit helps. Alright, another page done. Now I just have to put the page number. So it's 5.6, that's number 6. Good enough. Dog? Could you not? Alright. Let's get started on that little dinosaur design. Not really a dinosaur. Yeah. Alright, so reference material. We need some reference material on the stat. So let's get a wyvern in here, let's get a tyrannosaurus. And that will do for now. Alright, I don't know if it played already or not, so I'm just gonna play it. The new music track that I have. And that music track is the, it's the music track that will be used for a animated intro slash trailer for Midnight Call. So, yeah. I'm just gonna play it now. And shut the fuck up while I'm doing that. Yep, that was it. So yeah, yep, it does sound like the new music, and thank you. I think so too. I also think that the music sounds really nice. Alright. I know I just dropped something and I just played something, but I get a feeling that, with that thing being pain, that I might have to go for a longer while for a quote-unquote break, so that will probably mean we have to end the stream right here. And you know what? I'll record me, like, after the stream is done, I'll start recording just a normal video of me sketching and then doing like a hand sketch kind of stylized drawing of this creature, and I'll just release it as a speed paint video on the channel, so that you can watch it at your own time, and it will be a speed paint, so it won't take a couple hours. So yeah, thank you for watching, and sorry for ending early once again, but it is the holidays, and well, that tends to have you eat way more than you could or should. Alright, thank you everyone.